The way you love Unscripted is frightening, but we don't blame you. We all have a little bit of addict in us. No one's ever going to shame you here. You are listening to NH Unscripted. I am your Wilson Pickett-like host, Ray Dudley. We are coming to you from the almost YMCA-like digs of the WKXL studios in Concord. 1450 AM, 103.9 on the FM band. 101.9 for you beautiful souls in Manchester. Oh, I can almost feel the chlorine in my pores right now. For those of you who don't have a radio, don't know what a radio is, or never heard of radio, you can find us at nhtalkradio.com. That's our URL. I'll talk a little bit more about what's out there later. I do need to take a moment, thank my sponsor. That'd be Lakes Region Fence in Guilford. That's Matt McGonigal up there and the boys. They do a tremendous job. While you're drinking your coffee this morning, take a look out the window. You see that thing that looks like a remnant from Dresden bombed out in World War II? Get rid of it! Matt and them do picket fence. They have the highest quality cedar wood. Smells like pencils all day long. I've been there. They do PVC pools. They do property lines. Dude, they do it all. You go out to lrfence.com, lrfence.com. There's a button there for a free estimate, lrfence.com. That's Lakes Region Fence in Guilford. Love those guys and love their work. Well, fire up the Motorola, gather the kids around the radio, and break out those Swanson TV dinners. Make mine Salisbury steak. We got a big one in the house today. Speaking to film star David Afflick. What? Why would you let David Afflick's in the house? Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Ray. Great to be here,
Are you denying you are a film star?
No. I'm an actor. I'm an actor who does some stuff, and yeah, it's been great.
He's better well known for being the husband of Seraphim.
Yes.
Hey,
yes.
Seraphim.
She's the star.
Oh,
she's the star of the family. Seraphim is the star. Well, our dog, Dolly, is the star, but Seraphim is the true talent in the family. I mean,
dang.
Yeah.
You are humble. You are humble. David, I see you everywhere. Everywhere. You do some, I've seen your demo reel. I've seen your MIDB reel.
Oh, man. Thanks for watching. Yeah.
Oh, cool. So we'll get into some of that in a minute. But if you would, tell me how you even started in the, you said to me earlier that you started late, right?
Yeah. I mean, I grew up loving movies and loving theater, and my grandparents and my mom brought me to Concord Community Players, and I knew there was something special going on there, and I loved movies, growing up in the 80s and 90s, 70s, and just like loving all that stuff. So, there was a moment in time, and I wasn't doing any of that. I was baseball coach. I played baseball in college, and I was an adult, and I'm like, I'm missing something. I just never went for it. I never tried to act, and so I had this kind of, I don't know, awakening, I guess you would say, where I was just like, I don't want to be on my deathbed with any regrets. This is my one life, and I don't want to have any regrets. And I'm like, well, let's just give this acting a try. And, I didn't know where it was going to go.
Wait, so you're having regrets about what you're going to leave behind. You could have been like, I might want to be a gambler, gangster or something. Acting is what you're lying on your deathbed thinking about?
In my heart, I always wanted to try it.
Okay.
And never had. Yeah, never had, And so I was like, okay, let's do it. And I'd taken one course at Brown University Extension School. I lived in Providence for a while with this guy named Carlton Coiler, and he was part of the acting studio in New York City, and he was a great teacher, and but I never went anywhere with it. And he said to me, he's like, you might have something, there were little glimpses where people and teachers had believed in me and said, like, you might be able to go further than what you're doing. So, but the big thing was I went Concord Community Players. I'm like, okay, there's a play coming up. I'm going to try out. And I'll be the background. I'll be the guy that waves in the back, a part player. I just want to be part of it and try it. And what ended up, I memorized a monologue for it, and Gary Locke was the director. It was a play called Harvey. Remember Jimmy Stewart and the Invisible Rabbit that may or may not be there. And I auditioned, and lo and behold, he calls me, Gary Locke, the director, and he's like, hey, you got the role of Dr. Sanderson, which is like the second lead.
Yeah.
And he's like, you're working with a newcomer, Jesse Cole, and I'm like, Gary, I've never acted before in my life. I think his jaw might have dropped because, it's like 250 lines or whatever. I'd never memorized a line in my life. And so I worked my butt off for 2 months, and they were so supportive and wonderful, and, had dedicated that performance to my grandma, my mom, and it was just really a wonderful, like, honestly kind of spiritual moment where I was like, I can do this, I can do this.
When was that?
That was 2011. Yeah, that was Chris Demers played the Jimmy Stewart character. Yeah, just a great group of people. And then, so, I did a few plays with community players, and I'm like, but my heart is also in film. I love the roar of the audience. I mean, I've done some comedy. I've done comedy stuff, and before the pandemic and all that stuff. But I love the audience. But I was like, I wanted to try film too, so I started searching out some teachers to be like, okay, how do I actually do this and get into it? So,
totally different world.
Totally different world, yeah. Totally different skill set, yeah.
I went last summer to New York, and I went to the Museum of Broadway. Have you been there?
I've never been, no.
Okay. I have a question for you that you can mull over during the episode here.
Okay.
Since you're like on the verge of being a mega star here, when you walk through that museum, it's really fascinating, and you see a lot of the older shows. I mean, literally older, and then you see some of the newer ones, or at least shows that are fairly recent, with big names in them, like Jeff Daniels and To Kill a Mockingbird.
Right.
And you've got Bryan Cranston and all this. Okay, It got me thinking. Here you go. Ready? When you're going to be famous, like next week, okay, and you're a big name, would you rather be in a play that no one's heard of, but that as a star you could help catapult, or would you rather be in a show that's already up and running and it's famous, and they're going to use your name to help push that?
Tough question.
Oh, that's all we do here, baby.
Yeah.
That's all we do.
Yeah, I don't know. It would all depend on the play. Yeah, I mean, it would depend on the character in the play, and listen, man, at this point, I'd be glad to be cast in anything.
Hey, man, I hear you.
I'll do both. I'll do either. But give me a leading role in something. I'll try it. Yeah.
So how did you make the switch from stage to film?
Well, I still do both, so I try to, I really believe in the craft of acting. I really believe it's a craft. So I wanted to go in full force. And, there was the guy that really, I've had two really great teachers. A guy named, I had a friend. I'm like, listen, how do I do this? I want to get into this. Like, how do I get into, it's like one of those, I'm in New England right now, and so I'm close to New York. Boston I didn't even know Boston had much of an industry, but so I ended up, my friend said there's a guy in Connecticut, Hamden, Connecticut, right outside of New Haven, named Reno Venturi. He's the real deal. He's been on Broadway. He's taught people, stars. He produces things. And so I drove 3 hours every week.
What?
For about 6 months, and trained with him with his crew at the acting studio. The Actors Gym in Hamden, and he like gave me a basis for he gave me a baseline for how to be an actor,
Was this for film or stage or both?
It was both. I mean, they're both very similar. It's theater is bigger, theater is bigger. And so he taught me the difference between that stuff, film is so intimate, and very, very close. And so, I pride myself that I can do either, so. And the other guy that was really wonderful for me is a guy named Steve Blackwood. He was actually, Steve?
I do.
Yeah, he was Days of Our Lives, and so he's his classes. They don't really. It's not about how do you act for stage or how do you act for film. It's like how do you become right? How do you become this person in these circumstances, in these situations? And they've given me, they teach their own way, but they got Stanislavski, they got Stella Adler, they got everything Meisner, all mixed in together. And so I just started doing some stuff in training, and with that came some confidence to be like, okay, if I'm on a set or if I'm on a commercial or whatever, I can do this. I can pull this off. Yeah. So.
Man. So would you? Okay. Oh, dang! Ooh, the time flies by. We're gonna put a pin in that one. David and I are gonna go try to find the Taster's Choice. We need a little bump. You are listening to NH Unscripted. I am your happy to be out of bed host, Ray Dudley. We are coming to you from the Taj Mahal-like digs of the WKXL studios in Concord, 1450 AM, 103.9 FM, 101.9 FM in Manchester, and nhtalkradio.com is our URL. David Afflick is in the house. We're coming back. Yeah, don't go anywhere yet. Said he saw a girl that looked a lot like you up on Choctaw Ridge. She and Billy Joe was throwing something off the Tallahatchie Bridge. We ain't covering that subject here, but we got a lot of other stuff to chit-chat about. You are listening to NH Unscripted. I am your happy to be out of bed host with my PJs on. Got the little feet in them. Ray Dudley. We are coming to you from the digs of the WKXL studios, 1450 AM, 103.9 FM, 101.9 FM for the beautiful souls of Manchester. NHTalkRadio.com is the URL. I'm going to explain a little bit more about that later, but in the house, mega superstar David Afflick. Oh, he's so humble. Look at him blush over there. David, can you regale us with some of your gigs that you've done?
Yeah, of course.
Yes,
listen,
do.
Man, I'm an actor. Actors love to talk about themselves.
You're
right?
here.
First off, though, it's such an honor to be here because I grew up listening to WKXL with Jim Rivers.
Oh.
Yeah.
Look
So
at you throwing down.
Yeah. I mean, it was an important part of my growing up, and to be interviewed, it's really a lot a lot of fun. So thanks for having me. Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, and you're a star in yourself, man. I'm being interviewed by a star myself.
Oh, quit it.
It's great. So, I mean, acting, acting is such you get momentum, so the first thing that I really got, I guess, was when I knew that I might be doing something good. I got a role in this movie called Escape 2120. I think that's the one you guys were talking about. It's on Amazon. Now, listen, it's
what?
I play the monologuing villain, right? So it's that's like the first one, and it was a guy, Brian Bennett, who wrote the book, and then he's like, I'm going to make a movie out of this. And he ended up producing it, directing it. Now, listen, it's not going to win any Academy Awards, but it's on Amazon. You can rent it.
Dog.
Yeah, it's on Amazon, and it's on YouTube. And like over 7 million people have watched this movie.
What?
Yeah,
what?
Yeah, it's crazy. And I'm like, who's watching this? Yeah. So I listened. Then I knew I was doing all right because I started getting emails from people saying, "You're a horrible actor. You should go back to doing whatever." And I'm like, okay, I guess I've made it.
Thanks, Mom.
Yeah, Mom. And it wasn't my wife or mom, so that was nice. But yeah. In terms of that was kind of the big high profile, and then right after that, I got because I'm a teacher, and so I quit teaching, and I'm like, I'm going to do this full time. I got the support of my wife, and she believed in me, which was huge, and I was going back and forth to New York City and New Jersey. And I got this gig where for the New Yorker, which turned out to be like a comedy piece for the New Yorker. And John Hamm actually voiced this New Yorker thing.
A name dropper.
Yeah, I know, right?
Shameful.
And but he voiced I was doing the acting, and he voiced it, and it got some decent views. I'm like, oh man, I got incredible momentum going on. I'm like going to be able to do it, and then COVID hit, and then I'm like, okay, I'm going to become a teacher again, and which isn't teaching is wonderful. I love what I do. I teach English, I teach film, I do all that stuff. But there's like a moment when you're like, oh man, this is some next level stuff. We're talking about some of those
Did you get to meet him, John Hamm?
I never met him. No, I never got to meet him because he actually voiced it after. He did the ADR after. Yeah. So.
Oh, that bites.
I know, right? I just watched him in Fargo. I don't know if you've seen season 4 of Fargo or 5.
Oh man,
have you seen him?
Oh, I did. I watched that. I binged it.
That was incredible.
Oh my god,
that was
great.
Yeah,
a great season.
That was a great season.
I haven't watched all of it, but a friend of mine recommended that one. So he said, "You got to see John Hamm." And I go, all right. So
glued. Glued
to the TV.
It was that was an incredible series.
Which it's, when you're glued to the TV at my age, it's not a big event.
Yep.
It's getting them to switch the channel at the home. That's the big part,
Right.
So, do you have an agent?
I do. I mean, I did.
Is that important? Do you think?
I think having an agent gets you some things that you might not otherwise have gotten. Like I got a few things. I did. I had a small role in City on a Hill, which was filmed in Boston.
Yes.
Filmed in Boston. Well, we actually filmed it in New York City, but it takes place in Boston. I had a couple things like that one. I got through an agent, and I think they open up some opportunity. But I also, man, as an actor, you grind. Yeah. Every morning I'm on websites and I'm trying to book stuff. I spend a little bit of time every morning applying if there's a role that might fit me, either backstage, Actors Access, or casting network. I'm like, it might fit. And with teaching, which is great, it's intense when you're in it, but you do have a decent amount of time off, so you can kind of pursue some of that stuff, the outside acting stuff when in the midst of it.
So.
So.
I like Casting Network. I use them a lot. They've got some great filters.
Yeah,
so you can go through.
Right.
You're not getting roles. Well, I'm not getting roles for like 20-year-old.
Right.
Never mind.
Yeah. Well, listen. I've only been doing this for a little over a decade now, and I'm like, I've seen I'm not the the young father anymore. I'm the middle-aged father, right?
My filters always say something like "good-looking grandpa." That's the one.
Love it.
I don't seem to find many emails from them though about that, but. So, are you union?
I'm not. No, I'm not. I mean, I would like, in theory, I support the union. I'm in a union for teaching, and I totally believe in unions. But it's SAG hasn't been something available to me. I have a couple vouchers or whatever, and at some point I'd like to be. It's just in this industry, I think really it's hard to be unless you just want to do background in Boston, like SAG background. It's just been more opportunities for me to not be SAG, and I think if you're in LA or New York, you can be SAG, but the New England is such a very unique, very unique spot.
I was on the set of Castle Rock, and I'm non-union.
Yep.
But there were union people there. We're in the break room. There were union people there and non-union people. And the non-union people were really picking the brains of the union people and said, should we, if we get a chance? And there was this real discussion, very serious. The union people were saying how they had just renegotiated their contract. They got more money.
Right.
But the trade-off was they were going to get less roles. They were going to open it up to more non-union people. But, if you get... And then they said, well, on top of that, because there's less roles, you're not going to work as much. You still got to pay union dues. You got to pay... Every year you got to pay to get in. And then you got to... all the benefits and stuff. So he said, unless you're working a lot and you know you're going to work a lot, union might not be the way to go.
Yeah. It's a definitely unique... I mean, I'm not sure.
So for anybody who is thinking about acting, hasn't dipped their foot in it, you have any kind of advice for someone? Should they even look at things like film background, or should they stick with theater?
Yeah.
Where do you sit on that?
I mean, I taught students a few different high schools since I've been an actor, and they're like, how do you do it? How do you get into it? And I always say, join your local theater, right? Get in there and just start acting. And also, if you want to train, I think, it's doing the footwork, and being, I had no, I remember I went to my first, I auditioned for that first teacher in Reno, and he's like, you got some stuff there, but you're really big. He's like, you gotta calm down a little bit, right? And he's like, I was doing like weird stuff I didn't know, like moving my hands a little more, like being dramatic. And he's like, you gotta, if you want to do film and commercial, and and the good thing about that guy, that he actually was good friends. My first casting agent was this woman named Doris Silk, rest in peace, and she would call me. I know she was like, she would be like, David, you still handsome? I got a commercial in Connecticut. We're gonna be canoeing. Can you canoe? We're gonna be riding a bike, and you're gonna be there. Like, can you make it? I'd be like, yeah. And it was like, and I'm like, she's like, okay.
I would love,
it was awesome. Like, she was I was like, that was like my first entrance into it, and I'm like, this is fun, Like, you show up and you're doing commercial stuff, and you're getting paid, and you're meeting new people, and that's been fun. But for, to go circle back to that question, I think it's just a matter of getting yourself in there, like get into, if actors act, Yeah. So how are you gonna act? And you're like, people, I kind of went from the mindset, I'm not gonna, I don't think I'm too old to unless I become Gene Hackman or, Morgan Freeman, get real famous when you're like 60, 50, 65. But I think what happened was, just, you got to train.
Yeah. I want to come back to you on that in a second too with that. Hang on! Time for our Salisbury steak. I can smell it from here. You are listening to NH Unscripted. I am your beautiful, handsome host, Ray Dudley. My soul is beautiful. You all know that. We are coming to you from the monk-like conditions of the WKXL studios in Concord, 1450 AM, 103.9 FM, 101.9 FM for all the gorgeous souls in Manchester. NHTalkRadio.com is the URL for you digital people. David Afflick is in the house. We are peeling apart acting and his beautiful career. We'll be back. I woke up this morning, baby, and I had you on my mind because it's NH Unscripted. Everyone knows us. There's a kind of hush all over the world when we come on. NH Unscripted. I am your hermit host, Ray Dudley. We are coming to you from the spa-like conditions of the WKXL studios in Concord. We got hot rock saunas, we got warm towels, we got chocolates on the pillows, we got it all going here. You can find us at 1450 AM, 103.9 FM. That's in Concord, for those of you who own a radio still. 101.9 FM in Manchester, our URL, where you can find this show, all the archives of this show, and all of the other tremendous programming here at WKXL is NHTalkRadio.com. Don't go out there now. Come on, wait. There's also a button where you can hear us live. This show, NH Unscripted, comes to you every Wednesday and Friday morning at 9 a.m. Drive time. We're so proud of that. In studio with me, David Afflick, talking about film, talking about commercials, talking about theater. David, did you have something you wanted to bring up?
Well, yeah. I mean,
yes.
My doing things, while following your heart. I'm a true romantic, and
he's winking at me now. But
we are in a spa, the spa like WKXL. I mean, you did give me some chocolate,
see,
right?
See?
And a nice.
All the A-listers get it, baby. All the A-listers.
I really believe in this following your heart stuff and, and follow your bliss. And, I was in Boston Casting auditioning for a commercial when I ran into a guy who's probably known around here, Michael Coppola. He's a pretty well-known actor. And I didn't, it gets a little weird at auditions sometimes, right? People sometimes don't talk to you. They eye you. They're sizing you up. Is this guy going to get it? Who's going to get it? Yeah. And but I always try to be loose and friendly and kind. And I just remember I started talking to Michael, and he was telling me he was directing a play in Concord. Now, I was in Boston at the time when we were at the audition, and for 9 to 5. And I said, I'm kind of really not a musical-y, singer type guy, And he's like, I think I got a straight role for you, a perfect role for you, 9 to 5. The role of Dick. And so I auditioned, and, I showed up. A lot of the stuff, I think, in life, if I'm imparting any wisdom, is, you show up. You do the footwork, you show up, and you try.
Smart man, he is.
Right. And I showed up for the audition, and there was a woman floating around the audition room, and she turned out to be my future wife, Seraphim DeAndre at the time, right? She was floating. Some women walk, she floats, and and we didn't get together for until a year after or so, and we went through some stuff, but we ended up getting together. But I met my soulmate, the love of my life,
good for you,
doing something that I love, and challenging myself and doing something new. And so, you can find love in the theater, man. That's why in the theater and all these things, and just to not to get too deep, but I found my biological dad about 6 years ago. I was adopted. Mom adopted, and my biological dad was a wonderful man, Paul Shaver, and he never knew I existed.
What?
Yeah, I was one of those. I was one of those kids of the 70s, and a Catholic mom who they shipped her from Rhode Island, shipped her up to New Hampshire to have me. And so,
oh my God.
Yeah, so I was Dr. Black, a long time OBGYN in Concord, delivered me, and my mom was a woman, is a nurse practitioner who worked for Dr. Black. So, a little craziness going on. I meet my father, right? My biological dad. I lived literally a mile away from him at one point in Providence. I lived in Providence. He lives in North Providence, well, about 5 miles. So a little craziness. I talk about genetics, right? Family genetics. It turns out that my half-sister is a teacher. I've been a teacher for 18 years. My half-brother's name is Michael Shaver, who is the editor of Black Panther.
What?
Wakanda Forever. A Quiet Place 2.
Are you kidding me?
Creed. Yes, it's just funny how
wow.
how blood is it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's like when
crazy.
You hear those triplets, Yeah.
So teaching and and film is kind of. I never knew it was in my blood, but it's in the blood. So it's been wonderful. Yeah. So
tell me about what it's like to be on set for let's pick a commercial. Your Fenway Park one, was that for Fenway Park? Was it?
Yeah, that was actually a political ad.
It was
that for gambling. It was for gambling.
Oh.
Yeah, it was like we're sending all money to Boston and New York. It was a California ad to try to, because I don't even know the gist of it. It was like something, but whatever it was, they shut down Jersey Street, right?
Yeah.
And I was like the sole person on the street acting like an idiot. I was like, typical Fenway Park, crazy man, and with like a foam finger, and I'm just like, I grew up going to Fenway, and I worshiped the Red Sox, and and those World Series years were wonderful, and so this was only a couple years ago, and there I am, in front of Fenway, Yeah, I don't act like an idiot anymore. I used to, but getting to be like, just getting to have some fun for a major commercial, So that was a lot of fun.
It looked like it was a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, and to see that, it's got the backdrop. It's Fenway Park right behind you.
Right.
It's really, really cool. I don't know if anybody gets to see your demo reel. Where can they go see that, by the way?
I got that stuff up on www.davidafflick.com.
I wonder why you named it that.
AFFLICK.com. Yeah, no, it's out there. Yeah. The self-promotion stuff is kind of crazy, but
I want to get back to your comment about Boston Casting. I'm glad I don't have to go down any more than I do not like self-taping. I will say that, but I also abhorred going into Boston Casting, not because I don't like them, but I hate sitting on the bench with like 15 other people who kind of look a little like you, and you're not quite sure how this is going to work out. And then someone comes in or whatever, and all the people at Boston Casting go, "Hey, Joe, good to see you again. You're here for the interview?" And I'm like, "Oh man, there goes that. Why did I come down there for 2 hours?"
Yeah,
there's always somebody that has an in or something and it wasn't me.
Yeah, I got a few of those, but it's always stressful, man. It's stressful. Yeah, all those times. Yeah,
those were brutal.
And I started going to New York City though. They treat you like royalty when you go on audition. If you start going to commercials in New York, they treat you. They're like always like very respectful of your time. You're not just sitting around waiting. Yeah,
that's interesting.
So, but that was back. I think they all do self tapes now too.
Oh man, I know. Space where you do yours.
I do. I have a little extra bedroom where I'm just like, poor Sarah from. I'm like, can you read lines for me? She's like, for what? I'm like, what do I have to do now? And I'm like,
I know that pain. I know it. I get this decide.
Because listen, Seraphim's a star. She doesn't love film. She'd rather. She's so talented singing and performing. And Andrew knows.
Does she have a business in Concord?
She started to do Seraphim, Seraphim design. So she was doing a bakery thing, but I mean, she should be singing full time, performing full time. It's hard to do, as we know, and to make a living doing it. So, but she's got so many incredible talents. One of them is her kindness and her ability to be really, truly present with people and make people feel good about themselves, and that's one of them. So she's an incredible designer. Like she has been doing interior design for most of her life. But she's like, why don't I try to make a career out of this? So really check out Seraphim Design.
There you go.
She's on Facebook, and she'd be happy to come in and transform your life. We really are believers in the power of story. And so like her motto is design with your story in mind. So she's great at it.
Is that like a feng shui thing?
It's like, I don't know, man. She's just got some magical touch. Like I sometimes go home, leave for school, right, and I'll come back in 8 hours, and the entire room will be transformed into a different room, different color scheme. She's moved the couches. Like she's this incredible magic person that, like, it's almost like Bewitched. Like she wrinkles her nose, right, and like it's like transformed.
If I had to design, it'd be all sweatshirts. All the furniture would be covered in sweatshirts. Oh, hang on. We got one more block coming up. David Afflick is in the house. Hey, you don't tug on Superman's cape, and don't spit into the wind, and don't miss NH Unscripted. I am your happy to be out of the home host, Ray Dudley. We are coming to you from the monk-like conditions of the WKXL bunkers, deep in the heart of Concord. 1450 AM, 103.9 FM, 101.9 FM for all you beautiful people in Manchester. NHTalkRadio.com is our URL. Time for some Sanka and Spam. We're coming back. You don't pull the mask off on the Lone Ranger and you don't mess around with NH Unscripted. Welcome back, you great listeners. We are coming to you from the water country like digs of the WKXL studios, high atop the mountaintops of Concord. 103.9 FM, 1450 AM. That's for those of you who still own a radio. 101.9 FM for the happy, beautiful souls in Manchester. We love you, folks. And our URL, for those of you who just have to hit the keyboard, is nhtalkradio.com. Yeah, all you young punks. David Afflick is in the studio. Happy to be here, David. I want to say welcome again, and thank you for being here.
Been a blast, man.
Oh, I'm glad to hear
Thanks
that.
for having me.
No, anytime. So, we have a couple of things we need to sweep into the final block here. Did you say you're host at the New Hampshire Film Festival?
So, yeah, I just recently got involved with that a couple years ago. I mean, they've been doing this for a long time. The New Hampshire Film Festival in Portsmouth, I mean, they are showing world-class films that the 3-day, 4-day, 5-day weekend, and I've been hosting at the press room like during the day, just introducing the films and question and answers with some of the directors and whoever else may show up, producers of the film. And it's really a wonderful experience, yeah. And just to see these people who have created something, that put their life on the line to create something, and get to watch them. So yeah, I highly recommend that. I'm trying to get my film that I was just in. It played at Cannes Film Festival in France.
It's
called New Shoes.
New Shoes alert.
I'm an actor, man. We got to promote our stuff.
Go ahead.
Guy's name is Tommy Kane, writer-director, and he wrote this about his life. It's a short, 20-minute short. It showed in the new directors at Cannes, and it got a 5-minute standing O, which
at
Cannes, which is unbelievable. So,
are you just getting back from there then?
I wish I had gone to it, but I just play a small role in it.
Just lie and say you went.
I just played I played a small role in it, but it's one of those ones that you're just proud to be part of because it's heartfelt. It's his life, and he put his own money on the line to get this written, directed, produced, and he's getting out there. I hope it plays at New Hampshire Film Festival next year. It's called New Shoes.
It's crazy about a film that because once you do a film, you don't have any idea where it's going to end up
clue.
Like that. How does it end up at Cannes? How does that happen?
Yeah.
Somebody has seen it, so you can put it in there, and,
right.
and then it gets voted, right? It gets voted on. Man, oh man.
Yeah, it's a lot of the stuff you do. You like the commercials you do. You were just telling me you don't know when you're going to see them. You pop up, and
I'm still looking for somebody.
You never see it. I just did I did one before the pandemic. I did this one for Sirius XM, right? A nice high profile national commercial.
Yeah.
I didn't see it until last week or 2 weeks ago. It's like somebody's like, "Oh, I saw you," and I'm like, "Oh, cool."
Oh, tell me the story, or us and the listeners about your Super Bowl commercial.
Yeah,
he does.
No, it didn't make it to the Super Bowl. It's a national commercial for Tuchel cough syrup, but it was one of those nice ones to get early in the year in the 2024. You go to New Jersey for a couple days.
Come on.
And it never made it to the Super Bowl. There was some rumors that it might make it to the Super Bowl, but apparently it didn't. But it's playing on like all major platforms.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
I love doing commercials.
Yeah.
I really do. It's so much fun.
They're fun, yeah.
I mean, it's just a whole nother world, and So did you, when the rumors started, though, come on about it being in the Super Bowl, we were like, you had to be going out of your mind.
Well, it was
a big event.
We filmed it.
Might know
early January, and then it comes rolling around. I hadn't seen it, and then one of the the kids that played. The parents of the kids who played my kids in the commercial, like, I think it might play at the Super Bowl. And I'm like, what? You really? No way, man. You got to be kidding me. And so, it filled me with a little bit of hope. But, it came, like a couple days later, somebody sent it to me. And it's like on Amazon and playing like all over the place. Tubi, yeah, playing everywhere, man, But it's cool. And I don't have a line. I just cough my brains out. That's the glory of acting. Like, you're a great cougher.
I can see your resume. I can canoe.
Yeah, right.
I can bowl.
Listen,
I can
man,
cough.
I did one for Colorado Credit Union. I was a hand model. I was George Costanza. I was from Seinfeld when he becomes the hand model. I have a national commercial where I'm a hand model. I'm like, this is unbelievable. Listen, it's all stuff I never thought possible.
Yeah.
I never thought I could do it until I did it. And that's
excellent.
That's for the kids, man. Just put yourself out there and see what you can get out and see what you can do.
Yeah. Years ago, I had somebody who said to me, "Why are you doing it? You don't have the look for like commercials."
Right.
And I went and I talked to John Campanelli. He said, "Dude, there's no such thing as the look."
Exactly.
You like the Dunkin' Donut guy from years ago, or the where's the beef women? There's no look.
No.
I'll tell you that you're incredibly lucky. Having done several commercials, I understand how incredibly lucky you would have to be to land like the spokesperson.
Right. Yeah.
Like for Progressive and some of them.
Oh, yeah, so lucky.
Oh, my. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, you've hit the lottery when you do that.
Right.
Because otherwise we're doing all these little rinky-dink ones that show once or twice and goodbye.
Yeah, it's in the joy of doing it, and like if you get, if I get, there's been a few times I'm like, why am I doing this? And then I show up on set and I have a lot of fun.
Oh, I love it. I did one for the New Hampshire Liquor Commission.
Yeah.
It was so much fun.
Yeah.
There's just, I didn't even know how to begin to describe it. It just, they're laid back. They treat you like the star that they think you are.
Yeah.
Even though we know different. But you're the hired help.
Right.
You're the guy, the actor.
No, you're the talent, Ray. You're the talent.
That's correct. That is the.
And I think what you find with all these things, whether you're joining community theater, or you're doing some commercials, or getting into film, or whatever, you're finding a group of people that want to create, right? They're creators, and
excellent point.
And they truly, even a commercial has a story within it, So listen, I'm a huge reader. I'm an English teacher. I love the power of story, So it's like to be part of these creative people just making cool stuff. I love it. It's awesome. Yeah.
I hadn't thought of it that way as a story, but it is. And it's amazing to watch all these professionals who have no intention of ever wanting to act, but they all have this behind the scenes thing. You got a guy who's just simply shading. He's just shading the room, but he's happy to be doing that, shading that thing. We had a guy on one said he's fanning like the smoke machine, so it has that little bit of haze in there. He's happy to be alive, just standing there, fanning the machine.
Yeah.
I'm like, what in the world? They're like, Mr. Dudley, are you ready to come on? I go, yeah, whatever. The guy's over there fanning the thing. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
So do you have any tips for someone who, for like learning lines? Do you have a special way you learn lines as an actor?
Yeah, no, I was petrified of learning lines starting off, man. So much so it caused incredible anxiety and stuff.
Yeah, I break out in shingles.
Yeah. So you too. So it's really, for me, it's repetition. It's getting to know the scene, and I probably get to know both people's lines, so I know it like in and out. And once you know the lines, and you can play, and then you can have fun. And you trust yourself, So, I love podcasts with actors. I just heard that Mark Ruffalo, who's up for a Academy Award, and Sam Rockwell, both of those guys who I respect them so much.
Sam Rockwell.
And Mark Ruffalo in Poor Things is absolutely hilarious, they both have tough times learning lines.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And so it's like not automatic for them. So it's really just a matter of getting to know the material, getting to know the character, getting into it, So
it's funny. I had heard a story, and I don't know how true it is, but there's a lot of film actors, TV, film, who have a difficult time making the transition to stage.
Right.
I had heard that Al Pacino. I hope I'm not like talking out of school here, but he was playing some role on stage, and he had to have an earpiece in, so he was like pretending to be like a broker or something, and they're feeding him his lines. He had to have little TV screens built into like the back of some of the furniture, so that he could like look at, scroll it through. And
there's a lot of actors, a lot of those old school guys. Some of Marlon Brando is notorious for that, like not knowing, like having somebody who's like a poster board on somebody's forehead to do it.
Well, you forget that a lot of the film and commercial kind of things. It's 5 lines and then cut,
right,
and then another angle, 5 lines and cut. They don't have to sit there worrying about 40-50 pages of script.
Right, yeah.
Man, oh man. What's coming up for you?
Right now, not much, honestly, to tell you the truth. Yeah, I'm kind of open and focusing on the finishing up the school year, and I just did this thing called Scream 3 Holiday Horror. It's out on YouTube. It's
of course it would.
It's got like right now it's got like 50,000 views. A guy named Josh Dudley. He's creating some incredible horror, a whole horror universe out of Manchester, New Hampshire.
What?
I mean, yeah. Check it out. He's got they've had tons of stuff. What else is going on? You
hear that sound? Throw out your URL one more time, my friend.
www.davidafflick.com or David Afflick on IMDb.
He's mighty proud of that.
Not really.
What? You have been listening to NH Unscripted. We are coming to you from deep within the bunkers of the WKXL studios in Concord. 1450 AM, 103.9 FM, 101.9 FM in Manchester. NHTalkRadio.com is the URL. I'm your getting handsomer by the second host, Ray Dudley. We'll see you on the next one. David, thank you for coming by.
Thanks for having me, Ray. It's been awesome.
Hey, Seraphim.